Okay, so I'm standing in the grocery store staring at 2 jars of peanut butter, and I catch myself having a full-blown conversation out loud. This one's cheaper, but the other one's organic. Do I even care about organic peanut butter? Yes? No? Maybe? And then I notice this woman looking at me like I've completely lost it. But here's the thing. I do this all the time. In the car, in the shower, while cooking dinner, I'm constantly talking to myself like I'm hosting my own personal podcast. And apparently, I'm not alone. Most people talk to themselves regularly, but nobody wants to admit it because we've been told it's weird. But what if talking to yourself isn't crazy at all? What if your brain is actually doing something incredibly smart when you narrate your life out loud? But before we dive into why your brain loves having conversations with itself, if you want more mind-blowing science that'll make your internal monologue even louder, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, your brain will thank you later. Here's what's gonna mess with your head. Talking to yourself isn't just normal. It's actually one of the most powerful cognitive tools your brain has, and it all comes down to how your brain processes information differently when you hear yourself speak versus when you just think silently. When you think silently, your thoughts are fast, abstract, and kind of fuzzy. They bounce around your brain like ping-pong balls with no real structure. But when you talk out loud, something changes. Your brain has to organize those scattered thoughts into actual words and sentences. You have to slow down, structure your thinking, and make it coherent enough to verbalize. And that process forces your brain to engage multiple systems at once. Let's meet the main character in this story. Your working memory. Working memory is like your brain's scratch pad, where it holds information temporarily while you're actively using it. The problem is, working memory has terrible capacity. It can only hold about 4 chunks of information at a time before it starts dropping stuff. So when you're trying to solve a problem silently in your head, you're constantly juggling these pieces, and some keep falling through the cracks. But here's where talking to yourself becomes a superpower. When you speak out loud, you're not just thinking anymore. You're creating an external loop. Your mouth produces words, your ears hear those words, and suddenly your brain is processing the same information through multiple channels. Your auditory system picks up what you just said and feeds it back into your working memory, essentially giving your brain a second chance to process the information. It's like creating a backup copy of your thoughts. This is why when you're looking for your keys, talking to yourself actually helps. You say, "Okay, I came in through the front door, I put my bag on the chair, I grabbed a snack from the kitchen." By verbalizing your actions, you're reinforcing the memory trace and giving your brain multiple ways to access that information. Your working memory isn't just holding abstract concepts anymore. It's processing language, hearing actual words, and connecting them to memories. But wait, there's another layer to this. When you talk to yourself, you're not always using the same voice or tone, right? Sometimes you're encouraging yourself like a coach. "Come on, you can do this, just focus." Other times you're scolding yourself. "Why did you say that? That was so stupid." Your brain is actually taking on different perspectives when you do this. Psychologists call this self-distancing, and it's ridiculously effective for emotional regulation and problem solving. When you talk to yourself in second person, using you instead of I, your brain creates psychological distance from the problem. Instead of being trapped inside your own emotional reaction, you're stepping back and viewing yourself as someone else would. It's like becoming your own therapist. And studies show that people who use self-talk this way perform better under pressure, make better decisions, and regulate their emotions more effectively. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Kids talk to themselves constantly when they're learning new tasks. A kid building with blocks will narrate every action. "This one goes here, then the red one on top, now I need a blue one." They're using language to guide their actions and organize their thinking. As we get older, this external speech becomes internalized. We start doing this silently. But when tasks get difficult or complex, our brains revert back to external speech because it's more effective. This explains why programmers talk through their code, why athletes give themselves verbal cues during performance, and why you automatically start narrating when you're following complicated directions. Your brain knows that external speech provides better cognitive support than silent thought. But hold on, there's a twist. not all self-talk is helpful. When your self-talk becomes repetitive, negative, and ruminating, it stops being a cognitive tool and becomes a trap. The difference is in the function. If you're using self-talk to problem solve, organize thoughts, or regulate emotions, your brain is benefiting. But if you're just looping the same negative thoughts over and over, like, I'm such an idiot, I always mess up, why am I like this? You're not creating distance or solving anything. You're just reinforcing negative patterns. The key is in how you structure the self-talk. Problem-solving self-talk is future-oriented and action-focused. What can I do differently next time? How do I fix this? Whereas rumination is past-focused and criticism-heavy. Same mechanism, completely different outcomes. So talking to yourself isn't a sign of losing it. It's a sign your brain is working hard to organize information, regulate emotions, and solve problems. The next time someone catches you having a conversation with yourself in the peanut butter aisle, you can confidently tell them your brain is just being incredibly efficient. Anyway, understanding why you narrate your entire life out loud is going to cost you around 1 subscribe, and I'll just flip the screen here real quick for you.